Every plant parent out there has got stories of the plants that didn't make it. Here are some of mine. Hi, my name is Memo, this is my channel Houseplantygoodness, and essentially it's a place where I like to geek out about my big passion. You might be able to see some of it behind me, it's tropical houseplants. So yes, we are diving into my dearly departed plants in this video. What plants they were, why they're no longer with me, what I have learnt along the way, and will I potentially be adding them back into my collection at some point in the future. And I just want to hold everybody's hands when I say this. We all lose plants. I've been doing this for such a long period of time. I've got a YouTube channel about houseplants. I have got an entire internal jungle in my conservatory. I still, to this day, will lose plants. There is nothing wrong with some plants just not making it. These are not failures, so to speak. They are learning opportunities. And what we can learn from it is huge moving forward, trying the plant again, or realizing that that plant maybe isn't one that you are going to ever really be able to truly keep happy. And there is value in that. There is a whole host of plants that I'm going to talk about in this specific video, and I'm not going to go through my entire list because it is quite large. And this is not plants that I've just lost recently, but over the months and years, I'll kind of pick and choose, and if you want me to do a second or even a third video, I'm pretty sure I've got more than enough content to do more of these, but this is the select few that I want to do for this first video. But before we dive into the individual plants themselves, let's talk a bit more about the kind of emotional side of losing plants, because a lot of the times these plants are things that might have signified certain things for us at different life stages. So I know there is a lot of people that are still to this day will get very distraught if they maybe lose a plant that they maybe started growing in the pandemic, for instance, because there's an emotional attachment to that specific highly stressful potentially time for a lot of people that kind of goes hand in hand with that specific plant. It might also be an heirloom plant that you've kind of inherited from the family and you really truly did not want to kill that plant, but it didn't make it. Or it might be a whole host of different kind of emotional attachments that you might have. It might be a loved one that gave you a plant. It might not be an heirloom, it might be a new plant. Or it might be a plant that you searched for years and it was on your wish list for years and you finally got it, but you couldn't keep it alive. There's a whole host of things that we do need to kind of acknowledge, that a lot of the times the plants that we care for come with some form of an emotional attachment to us. It might even be the plant that wasn't particularly special to you, but because you saw it struggle and you tried and you tried and you tried your best, but you still could not make it survive. There's still an emotional attachment there to those plants. But as I said earlier on, losing plants is as normal as getting explosive plants on growth, growing something new. It is part of the journey, and we need to appreciate all parts of the journeys and what they can offer us. As I said, losing a plant will teach us a whole host of things. And I've got my list of plants here just because I need to remember them. There's a lot. As I said, I'm not going to go through all of them, but let's start with the first one. And I'm starting strong with an Alocasia, and I've got images from my plant care app because I found ways now on my plant care app where you can archive plants as well. So just to truly remind myself of the plants that I've lost along the way. So the Alocasia azlanii, beautiful, beautiful Alocasia, dark leaves. It's got that purple kind of burgundy veination, which I thought was absolutely stunning. I have tried to grow this plant twice now. I have failed twice. What that has taught me is maybe this plant isn't for me. I've tried different things. I've tried growing it in semi-hydro. I've tried growing it in when it was truly like struggling. I even put it in a propagation box. Maybe it was too far gone and I couldn't grow it then. I have grown many other Alocasia fully successfully. Usually I do better with the large form Alocasias, but even some of the dual Alocasias, I'm kind of starting to crack the code a bit more. The azlanii is one that really kind of eluded me as well. So for that reason alone, it's not in my care anymore. Even the second one that I had, and I think I've shown it recently, like definitely some point this year, the one that I had that was still struggling, it just didn't make it. It didn't make it. May it rest in peace in the compost. And then how about an Anthurium now? My Anthurium argyrostachyum. This is one that I got from an unboxing from an Ecuagenera order a while back. It was beautiful. It had those kind of lobed leaves and kind of long and pointy at the bottom. That was a plant that tried my best to keep it alive and keep it going. But I think there wasn't too many roots that were good on that plant when it arrived to me. And regardless of whatever I did to it, had I have done that plant and had I have put it in something like a big glass cabinet, which I don't have because essentially my whole conservatory is a glass cabinet, but if I had something that was much bigger than a propagation box, because that was a big plant to begin with, maybe it would have survived if I babied it for about a year, but just by putting it in here, which is still quite favorable conditions, it still sadly did not make it. Would I repurchase and retry with this plant? Yes, and I forgot to do this section for the azlanii, so I'll do it now. Would I repurchase the azlanii for however much I like the look of that plant? I don't think I will, because it's a plant where I can say after 2 attempts now, I'm probably not the best person to care for it. I can admire it from afar, and I'm very jealous of every single one of you that has got a happy azlanii out there, but it obviously doesn't work with the care that I give it and the conditions that I give it, and it's not a plant that I am so super enamored with that I would go out of my way to try a third and a fourth and a fifth time. And I know, because I have spoken to some of you in the comments, that there are those types of plants for all of us, not just you, but there's all like that you will just, I know I will not be defeated, or I like this plant so much that I will just keep trying until I get it right. The azlanii is not that for me. The argyrostachyum that I'm talking about now, I would potentially try one more time. If it doesn't work, then I've got other plants that are very similar in look and feel, so it's okay. But it is one of those plants that if it came across my path easily and it wasn't particularly expensive, would I try it again? Probably. I'd probably try it again. Then there was my original arisaemoides. And I've done a review and I'll add it at the top there, which I love this plant and it was doing so well. And I had it in semi-hydro for a long period of time, and there was a bit of struggle that it was happening with the semi-hydro. It was drying out way too quickly. It was super thirsty as a plant, and I'm just like, you know what, if you're this thirsty as a plant, when I was transitioning a lot of my other anthuriums into a soil mix, I'm just like, let's slowly transition you into that. It deteriorated and died so fast. So learning opportunity for me. If a house plant is so happy and it grows exceptionally well and it's just getting thirstier, maybe don't change the media. Maybe just give it more of the same media and let it grow in that. That was also another one that I learned the hard way, and I'm still hoping that growers and plant shops will start putting this in as a label for some of the plants. That is definitely a plant that I should have had on a moss pole very quickly. It didn't need it. It was still growing large and it was still growing tall without the moss pole, but it became very top heavy because the stem at the very bottom at the soil level, or the pond, the semi-hydro level, was very, very thin, and the bigger it was getting at the top, the stem was getting fatter and fatter and fatter, and it was very precarious. And the way that it was growing, it was going to snap itself. So I do, however, to answer the question of would I buy it again, yes, I have recently bought a replacement from it, and this was from a recent Grow Tropical order, and this is the Anthurium arisaemoides red something. Yeah, red something. I will put the name somewhere because it's not on the label. But it's already had its first, for the people that have been curious about how this is doing, it's had its first new leaf. It, for some reason, rejected the third leaf. This one came with a bit of cosmetic damage and it's kind of losing one of its leaflets. But on this one, it only really grew true 2 of the 3 leaflets. From the way that it was growing, I could tell that the first one just wasn't going to grow. It's fine. It's doing well. I have started this off in soil to give it the best chance of having that constant moisture that it needs. The growing media and the kind of stem is really low, but within the next leaf, I will be putting this onto a moss pole. Not again that it necessarily needs it. It will help it root into it. It doesn't need it to get bigger, but it will give it that extra bit of stability because the janky support sticks, unfortunately with this, when it gets big, just isn't cutting it. But definitely, obviously, retrying this plant. I really want this to survive because I was so happy with the first one. It was such an easy kind of corrugated type houseplant. Let's stick with the anthuriums. Anthurium lutheri. And I know there's a few of you out there that really get a bit emotionally attached with this plant because it's one of your favorite plants. And this is not me poo-pooing on this plant at all. I know any of these plants, even the ones that I'm saying I would never get again, my experience, my opinions, and how it's formed, we don't all have to agree. Some of the plants I like, you probably don't like. Some of the plants that you grow, I might not like. It's fine. We've all got our own kind of individual tastes, and that's completely fine. There's no shade in this. But I'm just talking about my experiences in this video. So with the lutheri, I got it at the same time as my Frederick Starlii. That one's still doing exceptionally well. My lutheri just never really took off. It needed a moss pole. Again, I didn't realize that it needed a moss pole. And that one desperately needed a moss pole. I did not give it one. It would bring out a leaf or two, maybe a year by the end of it. It would get infested with spider mites. If we had it in an environment like a glass cabinet where I can control everything and there is absolutely zero pests and it's primo conditions, would it maybe done better? Yes. Do I like its growth habit? Because it still has kind of pendant leaf. It still has these kind of long, not pendant, yeah, the strappy leaves basically. But it grows upright and then drops the pendant leaves. It just didn't do it for me. And I tried over and over again to keep it happy. In the end, I just gave up. Just to be abundantly clear, I will not be repurchasing the Anthurium lutheri. It just really wasn't for me. I don't even think I would want to give it a second chance. I've got other plants that for me give me this similar kind of vibe in a way that I can manage easier. Oh, the next one pains me because you've all seen my second attempt and you've also seen it go to shit. My Begonia bipinnatifida. I really want this plant to do well for me, but I think I will draw a line after the second attempt, which I've just had, and just say, you know what, for however much I like it, I cannot grow it. It was a moment where I'm just like, why can I keep this happy? I still need to talk to Sarah, the plant rescuer, because she's the one that really first introduced me to this plant with a post that she had on her Instagram where she was just like, I bought this and it's meant to be a terrarium begonia and I've grown it in household conditions. And me being all cocky going, you know what? I've got better conditions than just the average household conditions in my conservatory. I'm gonna grow it in here, probably completely happily. Watch me fail twice. That one, the first one failed because the grower's media that it came to me with was sapping wet and it was probably already rotting at that point. So that one didn't survive very long at all. The second one, which I managed to move it into an Anthurium soil mixture, which was a lot airier, did really, really well. That one I lost at the change of the season when it got to summer, because I think with that one, I let it dry out a bit too much. And it's definitely not a begonia that appreciates ever going fully dry. And I think with that one, because I was so burnt with it, having root rot because it stayed moist for so long, I was a bit more hesitant on the watering and maybe I kind of swung too much on the other side. For me, any plant that I've had situations of that where it either swings dramatically to one end, root rot, or dramatically to the other end, dying because of underwatering, because you've maybe missed a day in terms of watering. So I should have watered you at 6 days and I watered you at 7 for 2 weeks in a row. For me, those type of plants, I love them. I love to look at them. A lot of the times they are stunning. I do not have the time nor the patience to be babying a plant that much. And if I do, it needs to blow my socks away. And this one did to a certain point, but not enough to make me want to try a third time. Watch me chew my words. If I end up finding it again for a good price and a decent size, I might do it again. Remind me not when I've done it. Just go, Memo, no, put it back. Put it back. Oh, if I've already bought it, it's a bit too late, but tell me no. Oh, and this one really, really saddens me. My fern leaf cactus. Oh, I had it in here. I had it in my old conservatory. For the people that have been here for a very long time, you remember the old conservatory when I first bought the house, and it was wood and it was rotting before I even got in here. Obviously, having this many plants with this level of humidity just made that worse, and I was expecting that whole conservatory to fall in on itself and me lose all of my plants. Luckily, it got replaced before then. But at that point, the old conservatory had a beam at the top of it. And I had one of those upside down planters and it was growing there. It struggled for a very long period of time with mealybugs. It even bloomed. I don't know if I've still got an image of the bloom. If I have, I will add it here. That one was quite cool because it's particularly difficult, I think, to bloom generally when it's not in the wild. So there was a lot of people messaging me when they saw that I was posting pictures of it blooming. It was like, what did you do? I'm just like, I don't know. It just happened. It just happened. It's maybe because the conservatory, I let it go a bit cooler than most people let their household go. And because it was getting that light that was coming in diffusely through, back then, a shade cloth on my conservatory, it was a perfect cluster of everything. The humidity level was high enough, the light levels were high enough, it was getting that winter drop, and it just did it basically. By the way, just to clarify, that bloom, beautiful as it was, because me being a weird child, I'm just like, I must smell this blossom. So I went and shoved my nose into it. It smells like cabbage. It doesn't smell nice. I don't know if that's all kind of tropical cacti, but it was a bit, but the structure of it, that one truly does give me like seaweed vibes. And especially when it was hanging down, it was getting quite long. So I tried to move it out to a shaded part of the garden to kind of let nature deal with the mealybugs, and it just didn't do well. And unfortunately, it died off. I do 100% plan on getting another one at some point soon. I don't have that beam anymore in here, and I don't know where I would grow it comfortably that it wouldn't have that risk again of pests. So it might be one that I'm going to have to reintroduce back into my collection after I move into a new space, which will hopefully be more like the forever home rather than this one that was always meant to be a transitional one before I move into my forever home. And by forever home, I'm not exaggerating here. Like, for the people that are curious, this is the home I am planning ahead and going, this is the house that I want to retire in. So I'm even thinking about it. I'm just like, how accessible is this going to be when I'm old and decrepit? Because I am a child. Well, I was a child. I'm not a child now. I moved around a lot in my life. I've moved countries. I've moved homes all the time. I'm very much a person that wants to settle down and put roots down. And this will be it for me. So like the next house, I'm just like, I don't want to move again. I really, really do not want to move again. So planning ahead here. Sorry, slight tangent, but yes, we'll be re-adding the fern leaf cactus 100%. And another one, I'm going down the list. So obviously a lot of you are kind of hearing more recent plants. As I said, I can probably do a second and even a third video of plants that I've lost further back now, but the other one that I lost this year is the Homalomena Camouflage. And I am quite glad that I ended up getting that plant. It taught me a lot because remember a while back, I'm trying to remember, I'll see if I can find it and add it up there. I think there was quite a few Homalomenas in my most recent wish list. I did a video on that one. Let's put it this way, because a lot of you people were saying, oh, you should probably grow a Homalomena before you put things on your wish list. They can be a bit challenging. And when I first got it, it was doing well. And I don't know what changed, but it just took a nosedive. I don't understand what everybody's saying. It's really difficult. It was doing well for about 6 months. Did not change position, still in the same soil media that I had it from day one. It was under a grow light as well. Like everything was as consistent as it possibly could have done. Maybe it got a bit cold over the winter, too cold maybe 1 day or 2 days, and that caused it an issue, but it just never really bounced back. It's now resting peacefully in the compost somewhere. But yeah, that taught me that I really do not find growing Homalomenas that easy. And when they start looking busted, they really don't look great. Because there's other plants that you can kind of like, okay, it's not doing great, but it still looks semi-demi okay. I'm gonna stick with it and see if it does well. Then the Homalomena really looked busted. So all the other Homalomenas quickly came off my wish list. I will not be regrowing that again. I won't be regrowing that Homalomena again. If I find another Homalomena that's different and I feel like it, I might give that one a try and just go, maybe it was that specific plant, maybe that was the specific type of Homalomena that was difficult. But for now, until I can keep at least one or two of those comfortably happy in my space that are not difficult to find and stupidly expensive, I will not be purchasing difficult to find and stupidly expensive Homalomenas because, oh no. And this is the point that I always make, and some people maybe take a bit of offense in this when I sometimes say, you know what, try to earn your stripes before you go with something super hard, if for no other reason to save yourself some heartache. So I'll give you a very specific example. And I know there's a lot more of them available these days, and interestingly enough, there's a lot more that you can find in the market for cheap. It's not a mature plant, but I'm talking about the Anthurium or Queenum, the Queen Anthurium. So many people wanted it, and so many people were struggling to find it, spending crazy money. A lot of them had never grown a singular Anthurium before getting the Queen Anthurium. And they're just like, I've killed it so quickly. Walk before you run. Because the Queen Anthurium, generally speaking, is not going to be the best Anthurium from people that have been growing them for a while. They're probably not going to be the one that I'm going to tell people when you're starting off, yes, go for the Queen Anthurium. That's what I mean. Earn your stripes. Walk before you can run. Again, not me being patronizing. It's more to save yourself some heartache, because then what will generally happen at that point going, oh, I don't think I can grow Anthuriums. No, 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 no. It's not the same thing. You might not be able to grow a Queen Anthurium. That's fine. There's a lot of people that have been growing Anthurium for years and they still can't grow a Queen Anthurium happily. It's not you, it's the challenging plant, yeah? So that's why I always say, I'm just like, choose wisely. That's why with the Homalomenas, bringing it back to my original point so I don't go on another tangent, I'd want to grow something that's readily available that is a Homalomena comfortably and get into kind of what it needs, because I don't necessarily think it's a difficult plant. I just think I didn't have it for long enough for the care to click into place for me. Does that make sense? Because sometimes, you know, even if you've had a plant that has struggled and you've been able to kind of take it from looking great to looking busted to looking like it's going to die back to this looks great again, and I can take full credit of getting it there because it was so much on a nosedive that I managed to pull it back out. I didn't have enough time with the Homalomena to bring it back to a normal stage to go, so this is something that you definitely need. This is something that you kind of would like to have but won't kill you. I never really quite got there with that, but it's making me a bit like once bitten, twice shy with this one. So possibly I'll keep it open to the future. And I'll end on a bang, because actually I don't know how many people know this. My Philodendron gloriosum is no longer with me, finally. It was less of the chance that the plant was dying, it was more of the it was more the fact, that's the word I was looking for, that I just gave up on that plant fully at that point, because it was taking up too much space in my environment. And I know, by the way, I know that there is a lot of gloriosum fans out there. I understand. By the end of it, it really wasn't for me. It was a very cumbersome plant that took up way more space in my space in this conservatory than I think it deserved, if that makes sense. I'm just like, I was, by the end of having, because I owned that plant nearly 5 years, probably, by the point that I finally gave up on it. And this only happened within the last month or so. I just really fallen out of love with it, basically, purely because of its growth habit. I do remember a while back when they first started becoming the thing that everybody wanted to get, that there was a few people in Australia, I think, certain parts of northern Australia, if I'm not mistaken, which they are growing gloriosums in the ground. And I think I remember watching a video from somebody going, why would anybody want this as a house plant? Because of the way that it grows. It makes sense in like a garden situation, as long as you can grow it in a garden situation, obviously. But why would anybody want this vigorous crawler with massive, massive leaves in your house? Like, there's going to be a point for most people who are just like, what am I going to do with you? Where am I going to put you? Like, huge. So it was a victim, at least for me, of its own success, if that makes sense. It was doing so well that it caused so many problems that I'm just like, I can't have you anymore in here. So I kind of let it go a bit. And to be fair, I thought that it lost all of its leaves, and I'm just like, I finally get to get rid of you. Could I have chopped it and propped it and still kept a version of that gloriosum somewhere? Yes. Did I want to? No. It just no, and this is one of those plants that I was struggling to think. I'm just like, would I repurchase this, knowing what I know now, even if it's just a bit of a filler plant? And no, I don't think I would, because it just takes too much space. And I would agree 100%, and I cannot remember that video, what YouTuber that was, with what that individual said, because I'm just like, if I lived in like kind of Northern Australia and I could grow this in the garden, I would 100% grow that in the garden. Try and stop me. But as a houseplant, for me, it's a hard pass, basically. So that is no longer with me, not because it was a difficult plant, but more that it just didn't gel with what I needed from a plant, if that makes sense. And I'm comfortable enough to say that. And I do apologize for anybody that loves that plant or is still trying to get that plant. But it's a good idea. I wish somebody had made a video like this when I was first getting into it, just so I had all the information in front of me before I went, yes, I know that this might be a risk, but I'm willing to take it, and I'm going into this with eyes wide open, rather than, isn't it a pretty crawler that grows really fast and big leaves? And that was all we knew. And I don't know why nobody made the connection that it's a fast plant and it's a crawler. It's at some point going to take over your entire space. So yeah. But I'll wrap up the video with just these for now. As I said, I've got more than enough to make more of these videos. If you want me to go through kind of older plants that are no longer with me, kind of what I learned along the way, would I get them again or not? Do let me know. Did any of these surprise you? Did you know about all of these that are no longer in the collection, especially for the people that have been here for a while? Or did some of these surprise you? Do let me know. Do also let me know if you agree or disagree. We can all disagree on all of these if you want to as well. As I said, these are just my opinions. But yes, I'd love to hear your thoughts on these. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully I shall see you here soon. And I truly, truly hope that you have a great rest of your day. Thanks. Bye.